days at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. Alex, it's Friday Frenzy. We're still building to that 49ers versus Rams game, and the news is all over the place.
Truly is.
From shocking moves to shocking signings by rivals, to injuries, to practice squad moves. The 49ers have not had a quiet week. We're here to talk about it all.
They had a quiet, like, Tuesday-ish sort of day, but
yeah, you're right. They did have a Tuesday where they were just like, we'll just have some tea on this day.
yeah, we're just gonna chill, right? We're not gonna do nothing to do. It's fine. But now that is not the case at all whatsoever. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you have not already. That notification bell so you don't miss out on the rest of the Friday Frenzy. Because if you're here now and you weren't here earlier at 9 a.m., you missed an incredible Madden simulation. A lot of fun, interesting things going on in there, and a very tight contest. Don't want to spoil anything for you other than the tight contest. Go check that out when this video is done. But Ant, we got to get into the news and what's going on all over there, because there's stuff there, and there's stuff that's not included over there as well. And let's start with the big piece of information, which was Odell Beckham Jr. signing with the Los Angeles Rams. A lot of people asking, how is this possible? What is the cap situation like? We talked about this a little bit during the Jalen Hurd live stream when the news broke about Hurd being cut from the 49ers. And don't worry, Cutback crew, we will definitely get there to have a little bit more of a conversation on this. But this is kind of what we've been seeing with the Rams and a lot of teams in the NFL, actually, is the salary cap really at this point in time doesn't exist for them. They're going to move things around. They're going to stretch money out down the road, and it's going to have effects on their team down the road in the future. But right now, it's all about making sure that they can stay competitive and go win themselves a ship.
Yeah, they're all in. I mean, that 100%. The Rams are all in on winning. The Von Miller move signaled it. The Odell Beckham one, is the ante up. They just, keep going in and in and in. They're pushing all their chips to the middle of the table. They're ready to win right now. I kind of like the aggressiveness. The one thing I've learned this year, especially, is all the talk about salary cap should be nil and void, because the salary cap does not exist. If you are a team and you want to sign a big-time player, you can go ahead and sign that big-time player. All the, cap gymnastics that's been going around the league, it's just basically like they act like it doesn't exist. So the 49ers have a different approach on how they handle it, whether that is a Jed York approach where maybe, they don't want to spend as much money. I don't know. But the Rams are going out there and making everything happen. Even with $23 million in dead cap space from the Jared Goff contract, they were still able to make all the moves that they've made. And the 49ers are going out there and not being able to do those type of things. So the Rams have put themselves in good position to be successful. Let's see if the 49ers can ultimately make that move irrelevant and beat the Rams on Monday night.
It's going to be huge. It's going to be important. I mean, they're going to have to do something, Ant. They're going to need to do something, anything, guys. You got to try and find a way to change your fortunes. And we've been talking about this as the second half of the season now. And so, turn a new page. Forget about the past, move on, focus on the team you're going to be going forward. That's what you're going to have to do. Unfortunately, we're not going to have Dre Greenlaw. That's something that's a little frustrating and upsetting if you're a 49er. Yeah. You and I both expecting him to be back this week, them to be able to have him in the run fit situations, be able to have him out there in space in the pass game, ease things up for Azeez Al-Shaair, who we finally saw the Azeez I was afraid we'd start seeing at some point in time. Well, he showed up against the Arizona Cardinals, and it wasn't great. In a game too in which Nick Bosa and Eric Armstead absolutely ate up front. Those two guys had nothing but success. Azeez wasn't able to have a lot of success in situations at times. Wasn't doing a great job of being inserted in run fits and covering out in space. How big of a blow is this?
I was very optimistic about his chances. From what Kyle Shanahan had said the week before, to what Fred Warner had said. I was optimistic that he was going to be able to get out there and play, and it was going to be huge for this defense. And now we're going to be another week where the run fits are just not going to be as good as they could have been. And this would have been big. They would have been able to slow down Henderson in a big way. It would have taken some of the pressure off Fred Warner. It would have allowed DeMeco Ryans to be able to attack the Rams defense in a different way. So now they're going to have to get creative again. They're going to have to bring Talanu Hufonga into the box. They're going to have to play Marcel Harris out there. and they're going to have to play Fred outside sometimes, even though they don't want to. And these things are going to be interesting for them, and I don't know how it's going to pan out, but this is definitely a blow that has been continuing for the 49ers throughout the season, whether it is Dre Greenlaw, missing, all the weeks that he's missed or not being able to come back now. It seems like he should have been back a few weeks ago, and it just hasn't happened yet. I'm glad they're being cautious with a young player, and not putting him out there before, he's ready, but the team really needs him in a big way, and this defense really needs him. This defense has sputtered over the last 2 weeks, haven't looked fantastic. That's why even when I'm, put out my score prediction, I still thought the Rams were going to score 32 points. This defense hasn't proven that they can hold the team under that.
True.
If they do, they have a good opportunity to win, but it's going to be tough. And not having Dre Greenlaw makes it really tough. If they're missing anyone else, it's getting to the point where it's like make or break, for some of these moves. Luckily, it's not the entire front seven; it's just certain guys. But I was hoping he was going to be back in a reinforcement that could help them win these games coming.
I mean, it's vitally important to the success of this team. The run fits, pass game, everything that the 49ers want to try and do and accomplish defensively. It's hard when you don't have Jason Verrett out there.
Right.
It's even harder if you don't have Dre Greenlaw out there. I can't even imagine last season if you're Robert Saleh trying to put together a defensive game plan with just nothing, right? You're missing Richard Sherman for a portion of the year. You got no interior guy there in Solomon Thomas. You don't have Nick Bosa. I mean, you're just missing pieces everywhere last season on the defensive side of the football. How he was able to put together a defense that was able to statistically be in the top 5 in a lot of categories is insane. And how D'Amico Ryans has been able to get this defense into a category where they could be a top 5 defense in terms of a lot of different statistical categories. It's nuts. It's crazy. We've had two pretty consecutive solid defensive coordinators, and this is a D coordinator in his first year. I mean, in theory, if he learns and grows and develops with this team and develops as, time goes on and progresses, D'Amico Ryans should only get better from here, which means the defense should have success with this as well. The injuries, though, are just unfortunate. It's not great. And, it doesn't get any better in terms of other player statuses and what's been going on with the 49ers. Maurice Hurst still dealing with the calf. Jimmy Ward was a DNP yesterday with the quad. Mohamed Sanu obviously with the knee. Tavon Wilson obviously with the foot. Drake Kirkpatrick dealing with the ankle. The limited players were Elijah Mitchell, George Kittle, Eric Armstead, Emmanuel Mosley, and Josh Norman. Armstead and Mosley are newer, both of them dealing with some neck stuff and some neck tightness, but they're not too worried right now. It looks like Josh Norman is at least practicing, which is a good thing on the rib and the rib category. Do these things concern you, man?
No, because I'm optimistic about Jimmy Ward. They said Jimmy Ward could probably practice this week, which means Jimmy Ward could come back. I mean, and it's nothing different than it was last week. Maurice Hurst was out. Jimmy Ward was out. And now they're coming back. I mean, Tavon Wilson, we know that's not a good thing to have him hurt. But if Jimmy Ward is coming back, that neutralizes it. And in fact, you improve with having Jimmy Ward back on the field. Running him and Talanu Hufonga together is a better option than running Tavon Wilson and him together and Hufonga together.
Correct.
To me, there's nothing that's huge that changed. I know people want to get on the dreary, negative. This is what always happens.
Oh, it's really easy to right now too.
Well, 100% it is, and you know what? Though every single team is dealing with injuries in big ways. Every team has guys that are out. It's just we focus on our team, so it's the most focused thing in our view. And the 49ers have had troubles with injuries, and there's guys hurt that we need out there. We'd love to have Jaquiski Tartt and Jimmy Ward operating that safety position because then we're in a better position. And Tartt's getting close to coming back, so hopefully we get him back soon. But it would be huge for the 49ers to get Jimmy Ward. I was hoping to get Greenlaw and Ward. It appears now we have an opportunity to get Ward, not Greenlaw. So if we get Jimmy back, that will stabilize that back end a little bit more. Plus, it gives D'Amico Ryans flexibility to be able to go man coverage in certain situations.
True.
Because you can put Jimmy Ward, on a slot receiver, or you can put him on Tyler Higbee and let him go one-on-one, and he can win. And that makes it so you can run cover one. You can run man coverage on third down. You don't have to worry about Matthew Stafford, running consistently. He can beat you from time to time. But it does give you more flexibility than you had the week before. So getting him out there is important. So hopefully Ward, I think, is the most pivotal one to be healthy. If he practices this week, he'll play in the game, and we really need him.
Yeah. Definitely. Jimmy Ward, having both guys would make this a daunting, extremely, almost near, I don't want to say impossible, but it's definitely trending towards being something that's going to be extremely hard to slow them down in any way, shape, or form with no Tavon Wilson, no Jimmy Ward, no Dre Greenlaw.
Why not?
Because
you got Tony Jefferson.
True. You do have Tony Jefferson, but we haven't seen him play a game this year. Big question mark.
Of course, there's lots
Playing
of
with the
question
rookie.
marks.
What I'm saying is it's not as insurmountable with Jimmy Ward out on the football field.
Agreed.
And so if you have Jimmy Ward out there, you can feel a little bit more comfortable about what your secondary can do. And so in terms of some of the deep shots, you're not as concerned. Talanu Hufonga, that I wouldn't say bad week, tough week for him last week. There were some bright moments. And there were some bad moments.
I thought he actually played pretty good.
For a rookie, he's fine. He's exceeding expectations for where his development is currently at. I didn't expect him to be able to go out there and the defense the defense did struggle to an extent last week, but some of that was turnovers by the 49ers. But what I didn't expect was Talanu Hufonga to go out there and have the amount of success that he's having in some of the past situations. I mean, he's recognizing route concepts, he's jumping on routes, taking things away, making quarterbacks come off reads. I mean, I like those things from Talanu Hufonga. That was my biggest concern, biggest hurdle with him. And so far, he's developed at a very nice pace. So getting him out there with Jimmy Ward, giving him a guy who's very familiar with the system and what the 49ers are trying to do defensively should actually elevate his level of play and actually probably help him out a little bit as well.
Yeah, I think it did in Chicago. I mean,
Definitely.
When they played together in that first half in Chicago, Talanu Hufonga and Jimmy Ward were able to operate as left and right safeties and do a pretty good job. So Ward's leadership out there, can't be unnoticed because that guy is fantastic and he understands and recognizes what is going on. When you have that, then you have somebody at all three levels of the defense that understand what is going on a consistent basis. Jimmy Ward on the back end. Norman is pretty smart. He knows what's going on there too. But
Correct.
You also got Fred Warner, and then you got a defensive line of Armstead, Bosa, and those guys who know what's going on. You have guys everywhere that can recognize, figure out what's going on scheme-wise, formation-wise, and then put yourselves in the right situations to be successful. That's why he's so pivotal, but also his versatility. You can't put Devon Wilson in the slot. You can't put Devon Wilson, on a tight end and expect him to, completely cancel them out. But what you can do is put Jimmy Ward in those situations and expect him to do it. And he can put Talanu Hufonga in situations where he can be successful. But yeah, watching the All-22 film, I walked away having a better feeling about Hufonga than I did watching the game on Sunday. So I'm feeling good about his situation. I think there's still growth, of course, but as a rookie, I think he's developed a long way. Is he Ronnie Lott? No, but no one's expecting him to be Ronnie Lott in year one, except for some crazy fans who think he is. I think he's a guy that's developing nice. Another solid pick for the 49ers. He's going to, turn out to be a very good player, but he's very successful in the box, struggles a little bit in coverage. Those things have been known since the draft. But the thing is, he's getting better at all the areas where he was struggling, and he's even getting even more better in the areas where he was good. So strengthening strengths and strengthening weaknesses, it's a good sign moving forward.
People helping people.
Yeah, it is. It is.
That's what you got going on there, and you're not wrong, man. Those things are good. They're definitely good. His development is far surpassed where I thought he would be at this point in time. I've said that numerous times on the pod. I'll continue to say that till I'm blue in the face. Talanu Hufonga is looking like he's going to be a nice piece for this team going forward. And in the future, and that's great for the 49ers. But Kyle had some other comments that have been going on. He had a comment in regards to Ambry Thomas's week at practice, or the last, I guess, couple of weeks at practice, and how things have been going better for Ambry Thomas. He's been looking better. Good sign, I would agree. I think that is a good thing. That's a great thing to hear from Kyle Shanahan. They don't typically say those types of things unless it's happening. There were the talking heads in training camp talking about how, he wasn't playing well, and then it looked like he was stringing some good practices together, and like, oh, he's developing. We're seeing Ambry Thomas flourish. But I never heard the words come out of Kyle Shanahan's mouth, defensive back coach's mouth, D'Amico Ryans' mouth. I never heard, like, he's improving, he's developing, he's almost there types of things. Now, Kyle didn't say he's almost there, but he is saying he's made some good strides the past few weeks. That's a plus.
Yeah, he said he's excited about him.
That's good news.
And that is good news because, a lot of times he'll say, oh, he's coming along, he's doing what he needs to do. But he said he's excited about him, which means he's made some big improvements over the last 2 weeks, and that's good news for the 49ers. He's a guy that hadn't played much in college. So he was going to need development. He was going to need a guy that needed those practice times. And believe it or not, you can develop through practice reps. Believe it or not, going against Deebo Samuel in practice, going against Brandon Ayuk in practice, does make you a better football player. You don't have to get just game reps.
No way.
But I think the other encouraging thing was is Hightower, the special teams coach, talking about the fact that Ambry Thomas is playing well on special teams as well, which means it's an effort thing. The guy's out there, he's working, he's grinding, he's busting his butt, because you don't get a special teams coach to mention you unless you're working hard. They just won't do it. So that is good news for the 49ers. I thought that was great news hearing that from Kyle Shanahan. And he also talked about Aaron Banks as well. And he said that Aaron Banks has been getting a lot better in the run blocking category, but struggling in the pass blocking area. He still needs to improve there.
Stunned. I'm stunned.
So everyone wondering why he can't take Daniel Brunskill's spot. That's why, because he's probably a little bit worse than Daniel Brunskill in the pass game, which is, kind of scary a little bit.
Concerning.
But he did bring up the point that Aaron Banks came in out of shape. Aaron Banks needed to lose some weight. He needed to slim up a little bit to improve his speed. He said he never wants him to be small. He wants him to be one of the biggest linemen on the team, but he needed to, take care of that. So he's kind of attributing it to the injury causing him to get out of shape, and then he's having to get back in shape, and that's why he's taking a long time to recover. But we talked about this way before, that we thought he needed to lose about 10 pounds before he could get to his playing weight. And losing 10 pounds and still keeping that strength is something that's, can be difficult to do. So they're working on it. They're trying to find him, get him to a playing weight where he can be successful and overall develop his skills. Because, yes, you don't need game reps to get better in practice, to get better as a football player. And it appears he's getting better. It might not be at the timetable that we all hope, because we'd love to have, a bigger, better version of a right guard in our system
right now.
But it's not there right now, and they're waiting until he's the best player to play in that position. And as soon as he is, he'll take over. They don't care enough about Brunskill's, how they feel about him. They're going to play the best player, and if Aaron Banks is that guy, and they put a second-round pick on him, 100% they want him to take that spot. So as soon as he's ready, he will.
It's always been about that. Always been about when he's ready, if he's ready, can he be ready? What are his weaknesses? Can he develop them quick enough? This was always my concern. This was always my thing coming out of this draft.
Yeah.
We went through our linemen who we thought fit in the system. We talked about who these guys were. We graded these guys out. Aaron Banks was not on that list. He was not a guy that we thought they would go get. It didn't make sense. It just didn't. And we looked at film. I know I watched film. I know you watched film. I know Horst watched film. Mm-hmm. We all watched film. Wasn't on the list for any of us, and we had some differing lists.
Even after he got drafted, we watched film. And
just didn't see it.
Yeah.
Wasn't in love with it. So for me, it was really, really hard to get on board with this. Aaron Banks is the right guard this year. It's like, doesn't feel like it. Feels like Daniel Brunskill's the right guard and that Aaron Banks is a project. That's what it felt like to me. So, there's people who are frustrated, and they've been frustrated at this podcast. They've come on, they've commented, whether that's, Spotify, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Instagram, whether it's here on YouTube, you guys aren't hard enough on them about the Aaron Banks should be on the field. I don't share that opinion. I don't. You haven't.
I never will as a coach. I will never share an opinion that you play someone just because you play the best player no matter what. I had cousins that played for me. They did not start because I play the best player. That's just how plain and simple it is, and I don't know how to think any other way as a coach. So I wouldn't understand it. No,
it's not about anything else, right? You have one job as a coach, and that is to put the best roster, the best team, no matter what the sport is. Put the best guys out there. Give your team the best chance to win. You can have strategies in which you maybe don't put your necessarily certain guys out in certain places because early in the game you're trying to do certain types of things, and these guys give you the best chance to execute this game plan. But at some point in time, you're going to adjust if it's not working. And if it is working, then you're going to keep rolling with it, right? But Aaron Banks right now is what we saw in training camp is kind of what Kyle's talking about, right? Some times where he looks really good in the run and has success in the run game. He's talking about how he's improving as a run blocker. That's good to see because consistency was a concern early on when we were watching him, but he struggles in the pass. Okay, I mean, we saw that. We saw that at the Levi Open practice. So him getting absolutely dominated by Maurice Hurst the whole time. Every time the second group was out there, he was getting absolutely mowed down. So yeah, concerning question marks. Don't like those things, Ant. Not a big fan of them. But early, he's a rookie. I always viewed him as a development piece. So hearing that he needs to develop and that he is developing, then I personally feel like, okay, well then things appear to be on track. Would I have loved it if Aaron Banks could have come in and started? Yes. Would I love it if he's ready in 2 weeks or a week to take over? 100%, because Daniel Brunskill scares the living bejesus out of me because you just don't know what you're going to get. Him and Tom Compton passing guys off looking like seasoned pros to him getting absolutely destroyed on a inside jab arm over move in which he never even really makes contact with the guy a handful of times on film, and Jimmy Garoppolo is getting eaten before he's even hit the third step of his drop. It's like, find the middle ground, at least. Brunskill, find a middle ground between those two. I would be happier. I'd be happier if it was just consistent. If he was just consistent in the middle.
Well, his technique's not consistent.
That's the problem.
And if his technique's not consistent, he's not going to play consistent. And that's why he was getting beat with that move. He was lunging. And as soon as you lunge towards someone as an offensive lineman, you're putting yourself in a position where they can take advantage. And obviously, they all are seeing it on film, right? So you've had a guy that's struggled with when he waits for somebody to get into him, he can't anchor down and stop him. So what's he doing now? He's trying to attack and make up for that weakness. And now they're taking advantage of that, where they're catching him in a lunge and their arm overing and going right around him. So right now it's pick your poison. He's got to fix his technique. He needs to figure out how to anchor down. He needs to play lower. He needs to get his hands on these guys earlier, and he really needs to get in their chest plate early in with a nice punch. So far, he hasn't been able to do it consistently.
The punch has not been consistent
There's
this year.
no strength.
It's been, and it looks slow. It looks slow.
Oh, 100%. Well, so did Tom Compton's, though.
It's true.
We saw Tom Compton get absolutely wrist controlled in the All-22 film and get dominated, and that was part of it. I mean, Marcus Golden got his wrist control and then just completely shoved his arm up. One of those first things you teach defensive linemen. And then he got his arm up. He got a little ripped shoulder underneath tuck, got around bent the corner, and then he met at Jimmy Garoppolo. These are little technique things that they need to do. Compton actually had a very nice setup on that kick slide.
Compton's kick slide is there's nothing wrong with Compton's kick slide for the most part. It's pretty good.
No, he cut him off. I mean, his problem with his technique is he should be leaning a little bit in, so that way when the guy jumps inside, he's ready to be able to play it. He's getting kind of over the other side when he's trying to cut it off and getting off balance, and they're able to go inside on him. And that one time he got his hand, and was able to push it up and go underneath. But they're technique issues that they need to fix. And I mean, these are pros. I know you got to constantly work on your technique, but right now they're getting out technique by defensive players, and they're taking advantage of their technique flaws.
And you have a guy in Aaron Donald and potentially a guy in Von Miller, that are going to be able to do that to an nth degree. I mean, a degree in which they haven't necessarily seen this year.
You would think. We'll see what they do with Aaron Donald, too. Do they consistently play him over Daniel Brunskill, or are they going to play him over Laken Tomlinson sometimes?
Maybe.
It all depends.
We've seen him bounce around a lot on film, too. He plays all over the place.
If I was them, I would line him up right over Daniel Brunskill and line Von Miller up over whoever that right tackle is, and shut it down. The problem is, if they're able to get enough of you and you can run to the left side, that's the thing. You need Donald on that left side because that's where the 49ers average the largest amount of run, right? 5.9 yards a carry running behind Trent Williams. If you don't put Aaron Donald over there, the 49ers might be able to get their run game going to the left. So you have to just pick your poison. Pass game-wise, you want him on Brunskill. We think. Brunskill also usually handles him. But run-wise, you need him on that other side. So it's going to be a big question, and that's another one of those interesting dynamics to look at going into this game.
It really is. It's one of the biggest question marks. It's one of the biggest concerns. It's one of the biggest areas of weakness that the 49ers can get exploited on. But also on the other side of the football, their offensive line and both of their guards, we saw some similar things on film from both of them. Both of them getting walked back, both of them getting beat with arm over.
Get ready for Know Your Opponent tonight. Go check that out.
Know Your Opponent is good. It should make 49ers fans feel slightly better about this matchup Monday. Just because this is not an infallible team. This is not a perfect team. This isn't a well-armored team with no weaknesses. This is a team who has chinks in the armor. They have a flaw that the 49ers have an area of strength that they could exploit with. Now it's all about finding ways to exploit it consistently. And then when you do exploit it, when you do beat it, capitalize off of it. Sacks, tackles for loss, etc.
Yeah, the interior offensive line for the Los Angeles Rams is not the best. Eric Armstead should be able to be successful. They're going to have to double team at the point of attack. If they don't, the 49ers will win consistently against the man up blocking. And then Nick Bosa is not going to be able to get blocked by those tight ends. So he's going to have to get in there and cause penetration. But those two guys, Armstead and Bosa, are going to have to carry this defensive line. So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, everyone go check out the all-22 breakdown we do and Know Your Opponent. It's pretty good. It's a fun watch, and it gives you an idea of how, the Rams are attacking teams, but how they won't be able to attack the 49ers the same way. There's going to be a little bit of adjustments from the Niners and the Rams.
Very true, Ant. It's extremely true. And now we got to get to the cut. The cut. Actually, no, before we get to the cut, I guess the 49ers made some practice squad signings, Corbin Kafasi and cornerback Savion Smith to the practice squad. So welcome you two to the 49ers.
Well, Kafasi's because the Colton McKivitz went up to the active roster.
Correct. So you have to fulfill that additional lineman spot down there. You need bolster
him for practice, yeah.
Exactly.
And then Savion Smith used to be with the Cowboys. He's a corner. He used to play at Alabama. young guy, but he got kind of smoked last year with the Cowboys. But bringing him in, take a look. Why not, right? You need cornerbacks in your room, so
Doesn't hurt to put him on the practice squad and take a look. It definitely doesn't hurt.
definitely not. Still a young guy. He's only, what, 24?
It's true.
Yeah.
He's a young dude. Now we got to get to this. We got to get to Jalen Hurd. The news that he has been cut. He is no longer a part of the San Francisco 49ers. He's been waived officially, technically. So he can be claimed by another team. The interesting thing that came out of this, that when we were doing our research about what's going on and what's been happening, $1.08 million is what you save in 2022.
Correct.
By making this move, you save $400K.
Right.
Roughly
it's like
this
$450,000.
$450,000 by making the move right now this season. So you're looking at a situation where you're saving in total between the 2 years, especially since you don't imagine the 49ers are going to be bringing anyone else up and taking it into, huge amount of money, about $1.5 million between this season and next season that you add onto the cap, which is great. I guess the question is, and we talked about this in the live stream yesterday, breaking the news, talking about, the fact that they had just cut Jalen Hurd, that the move doesn't, for the both of us, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Just because you've drafted this guy, he's on his rookie deal, you put him on the active roster, you've put him on IR the previous 2 years, he makes the active roster, but then you have to put him on IR, start this year off, he's on IR, he's not eating up a roster spot. Yes, you're paying him, but, he's on his rookie deal. So next year, you bring him back. If he gets hurt again at that point, you can cut him and you still save some money. You don't end up saving $1.5 million, but you still save some money. But you're, hoping that you can get the most out of this guy and get the guy that Kyle Shanahan envisions him to be. What are you thinking on this? Where does this decision come from? Is it just a money save thing, or is there more to this, you think?
No idea. I mean, I really don't. I don't know, what ultimately led to the final decision to go ahead and move on from Jalen Hurd. I'm sure it wasn't an easy decision. It's somebody that they invested in, a third-round pick, and invested their time and effort into, and we're hoping to get big dividends. You're hoping that he's going to be a 6'4" version of Deebo Samuel. And, they must have come to a point, whether it was a decision, as far as money-wise, or if it's a decision as far as just that he was never going to be healthy. They finally just, needed to pull the plug on it. Or, maybe they think that this is now an opportune time to get him to the practice squad. That could be an opportunity as well. Maybe you go ahead and you release him right now, and then you eventually sign him back to the practice squad when he's healthy, if he gets healthy. Because right now, you can claim him, but is he going to come in there and pass a physical for you? It doesn't appear that he can pass a physical. It doesn't appear that he can get healthy. So teams might be a little gun shy. So maybe the 49ers are looking at that, where he's a cheaper option to go to your practice squad. We don't know. We'll see. But there's less risk there, right? If you put him on the practice squad than him being on the IR. I guess. I don't know. Besides the cap savings, nothing else makes sense.
That's the only thing I can think of is the cap savings and the idea, right, that if you can get him to your practice squad, the contract is less. You're paying less money for him next season if you can get him to the practice squad this year.
A lot less this year.
And it's less this year and less next year as well, potentially, because you can give him that futures deal because he's still not over that threshold yet
right.
of where he needs to be. So it's a lot less money off the books, and you still get the same sort of, I guess, technically investment. You just save some money in the process in order to accomplish it. I don't know, man. It's definitely interesting. It's definitely out of left field. It's definitely something that we didn't expect, both of us. A lot of 49ers fans were clamoring for, or a section of the fan base was clamoring for since the start of the season, before the preseason. And that once he got on once he made the active roster, a lot of us thought, okay, well, he's safe for this year. Even if he gets put on IR, maybe he comes back this year. Kyle, it doesn't look like he's going to make it back this year. Okay, well, then I guess we're just waiting for next year again. It's just another waiting game with Jalen Hurd, and we see what happens in the preseason. Curveball, slider, I don't submarine slide. I don't know. Just out of left field.
Yeah, I kind of thought that the move would happen in the offseason.
That's what I was
right. That if worst comes to worst, they would throw him on the IR, and then make a decision on how his knee was in the offseason. If it wasn't healthy, then go ahead and move on from him. But that wasn't the case. They felt that they needed to go ahead and get the financial savings. He wasn't going to be able to benefit this roster right now. Makes you think also, Alex, by this move that they still feel like they have something that they can do this year. You're not going to make a roster move that impacts this season. If you're only thinking about the future.
True.
But what they did do with that move is free up, close to $1.5 million, which is a veteran minimum. So, you can, bring in a player if needed. So let's see what they do. But yeah, it was a little interesting. I think just at this point that they got to the point where it's like, oh well, Jalen. Now it's time for Jalen. Why wasn't it 2 weeks ago? Why isn't it at the end of the year? Why wasn't it in training camp? You wonder why is the timing of the move week 10 that they don't ultimately just put him on the rest of the IR.
True. It's very true, and it looks like it's gonna be actually gonna be 1.8. Now that I'm looking at it, is what the number I'm seeing here is. It's about 1.8, closer to 1.9. It's actually going to end up being almost $800,000 this season, and then the 1.08 that you had talked about next season. So close to almost 2. It's going to be close to $2 million that they're going to save in this. So that makes sense. I mean, it does add up. It does make sense going into next season. You're going to be able to move off of Jimmy as well and free up another 25, plus the cap going up about 30 million. You're going to have a lot of money if you're the 49ers to play with now going into next year, making this move. The question is there anything else that they're trying to do with Jalen? Maybe, who knows, but not while he's not healthy. And right now he's just not healthy.
Yeah, and if they think he's not healthy enough to pass, physical, then they know he's not going to get picked up.
That too.
They're not really worried about it. It could also be that they're just ready to cut ties. That has come to the point where they don't think he's ever going to be able to benefit the team. So why even have him in the building? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Hopefully we'll get some clarity from Kyle Shanahan, when he speaks to the media again. Or, maybe John Lynch or Kyle Shanahan will go on a radio show or something and talk about it.
We're getting to that point of the weekend where they tend to do something like that, so
yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, because usually you get those shows on KMBR, the Kyle Shanahan show, the John Lynch show.
True.
So, yeah, hopefully Kyle Shanahan jumps on to Murph and Mack and lets them know what's going on so that we can get a better understanding of why they came to this decision and then, move on from there. But it appears that the move for Jalen Hurd was a failed one, that it didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
And now they've got to move in a different direction.
Got to shift gears. You have to try and, fix this one or fix this. You're going to have to find another wideout, maybe in the draft, maybe in free agency, whatever, because this didn't work the way you wanted to. It's just unfortunate. I mean, that's the real tough part about this is the potential and not being able to realize or recognize the potential of what was possibly going to be there.
Tons of guys with potential. And pretty much every NFL player that's drafted has potential, and most of them don't work out. It's unfortunate, but that's what happens.
The average career is what, 3.5, 4.5 years, something like that?
I mean, think about some of the most talented people in the world, that come into the league with all the ability in the world, all the athleticism in the world, and they can't play, consistent football. It happens all the time.
It does.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. You don't know, sometimes it just doesn't work out. Some people's bodies, like Jason Verrett, just betray them.
Same thing with Jalen Hurd.
Yeah,
man.
That's what I'm saying. Is somebody you've seen glimpses though, because the one thing about Jalen Hurd is you haven't really got to see it on the field.
Yeah.
But with someone like Jason Verrett, you see it, and it's unfortunately that his body betrayed him. Somebody else famous for that was Tony Baselli. Could have been one of the best left tackles in the NFL history, and his body betrayed him at a point, and his career was over. And so this happens in the NFL. This is not a new tale. You take a chance every time you draft someone. Would we have loved to have had him on the offense and use his skill set? Absolutely.
10,000%.
But now you got to go out and you got to find a new guy the next time and hope that they pan out better, do even better homework than you did before, and hopefully it works out.
Homework is going to be very important in San Francisco. Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, get your pens, get your notepads, make good notes.
I'm sure they already
are. I mean, I imagine so.
Yeah.
But just in case, and they're not. You heard it here first.
You think they're really using notepad and pen?
Heck no, they're using iPads and MacBook Pros and voice-to-text software to type out their notes. And yeah, they got all the tech stuff there. They're fancy. They're fancy schmancy over there.
Mm-hmm. They're like Van Wilder. They got someone walking around with them. I'll write that down.
Write that down. Just write that one down. Okay, Tosh? Write that down. Yeah, it is what it is. It's an unfortunate situation. Heart breaks for Jalen. Wish him the very best in all of his recovery and whatever his future holds, whether that's football, whether that's something else in life. Hopefully he's able to get on the track that he wants to get on, and he's able to do it to his fullest. It's unfortunate that I won't be here with the 49ers in San Francisco, but Cutback Crew, that's sometimes the way the cookie crumbles. And crumble cookies is really, really good, and it's delicious. Maybe we'll send Evan something this week and spoil the Cardinals' game opportunities with what they got going on. But listen, let us know what you thought about all of this down below in the comment section right now, right this very minute. Dre Greenlaw being out sucks. Jimmy Ward potentially coming back this week. Maybe lifts your spirits a little bit. And you know what also lift their spirits? And the rest of the Friday Frenzy, because we got a lot of good stuff. Whether it was the game simulation this morning in which the 49ers had a little bit of an unsung hero early in that football game. Maybe the new wide receiver 3 out there. I won't spoil it any more than that. or it's this daily video here, What's Good with Jay in the Bay, coming up next, where he's got his 5 big things, or Know Your Opponent tonight at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time.
Yeah, it'll be good. And then on Saturday, you'll get to see, the game plan, what the game plan will be, how the 49ers plan to attack Sean McVay's offense, how this Rams, defense plans on stopping Kyle Shanahan's offense. It'll be fun, and how Kyle's going to attack. I think this is going to be a very aggressive game. This is two teams that know each other as far as schematically.
Accurate.
They're going to understand each other, coaching staffs that are very familiar with each other. So it's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully the 49ers can, come out of this game with a win. I don't care what they have to do. I don't care if they have to crawl, scream, scratch, claw, whatever they have to do. I just want the win.
Bite.
I'll take a bite. Yeah.
Do what you gotta do, guys.
Yeah, bite someone's ankle.
Hey, whatever it takes, Ant. Whatever it takes. The Rams are all in. They've definitely gone all in. Well, technically they raised with Von Miller.
Yeah.
And then they re-raised all in with the rest of the league. They're going for it right now. Tip my hat to them. San Francisco, your work is cut out for you. I still believe in this football team. It's not going to be easy, Ant, but any given Sunday, things can go your way.
Sure.
San Francisco, make this your Sunday.
That would be nice. Make it happen. Except we play on Monday.
My apologies.
Hopefully, any given Monday, it works out.
See, I was trying to go with the movie reference. I picked the wrong week to do it. Gosh darn you, San Francisco. Podcast is going off the rails. This season has gone off the rails. Monday night, we're going to try and get it back on the rails. And until then, stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way on Monday.